Thank you very much. So I'd like to call to order this committee of the whole agenda meeting of April 10th, 2025. And at this point in time, I'll put out a call for any declarations of interest. Seeing no hands go up, we'll go to business arising from the minutes. We did have a notice of motion provided by Councillor Eccles. And so, Madam Clerk, shall I read out the motion and look for the mover and look for the seconder first, or ask Councillor Eccles to read out the motion? Okay, so I will read the motion. Councillor Eccles is provided notice of this on March 13th at the Committee of the Whole, whereas Agnes MacPhail was raised in Grey County and became active and in local politics in the early 1900s. And whereas Agnes MacPhail made history as the first woman elected to the Canadian legislature in 1921, and whereas Agnes MacPhail continued to serve as a member of parliament for nearly 20 years, now therefore be it resolved that notwithstanding Grey County Policy ADM 0195 approved May 2nd, 1995, stating Grey County will not declare or publish proclamations, Grey County declares March 24th as Agnes MacPhail Day in Grey County. So it's being moved by Councillor Eccles. I'll ask for a seconder to get it on the floor. Okay, it's seconded by Councillor Hutchinson. It's now on the floor. I will look to the mover to introduce the topic.
Thank you very much, Madam Warden, and through you. We have a number of declarations or recognitions, I guess more so than declarations, of some of our most famous people across Canada. What I found in recent years that we don't do a good enough job, I believe, in recognizing our own, as Agnes MacPhail being one of the top 2 or 3 individuals recognizable from Grey County that has made this country of Canada what it is. An example, a few months ago, I in conversation with a local resident, and they made mention of something about that the Dundalk Road. What I don't get, who's that? Grey County Council a number of years ago certainly recognized Agnes, and portion of that was Agnes MacPhail name is on the County Road 9. I was a little shocked. The individual, there's more individuals these days that are of older age than I am. So it was a younger person. That started it. And of course, there is on an annual basis recognition of Agnes MacPhail from a couple of individuals in Grey Highlands. And this year it was at the Angel United Church. They do kind of an Agnes MacPhail recognition. So come out of that I don't think we can lose, I certainly don't want us to lose our history in that context. And for that reason, working with Ms. Penfold and a couple of other ones, the suggestion came forward. And I thought that this would be to make that recognition of the contributions that Grey County residents have made. This is a small ask and a small point to be able to put that forward, that we don't forget how important those individuals were from Grey County in creating the country that we know and love. And if we let that pass, I think it is bad. And it's behooving on us to not let that pass, so that we can know where we came from, so we can have a vision of where we need to continue on. And that's why I brought this forward, and I hope to get the support of Grey County Council that that important person. There are a few other ones out there for sure, but this is just a small way of maintaining that history and the importance of Agnes MacPhail in the history not only of Canada and Ontario, but certainly Grey County as a whole. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So it is on the floor for discussion. We'll go to Councillor Greg.
Thank you. And I guess my first question would be, what, if anything, is expected of staffing or corporate resources in the action that you're asking for, Councillor? I'm not certain it's been fully illustrated yet what just that one proclamation of one day, how that differentiates itself from perhaps the important role that Grey Roots Museum does provide for the community, and probably our educational system should be improving our teachings of Canadian history as well. But that's aside from this council, that role. So I guess that's the question is, what is the difference that one day makes, separating it from actions at the Grey Roots or the naming of a roadway? You mentioned other important individuals. We have a policy in place now. Should council be anticipating reviewing that policy when you mention other individuals beyond just the one individual spoken to in the motion here today?
I'll start first with the policy. As my understanding, the policy is of naming any infrastructure or whatnot. It would be recognizing individuals from post life that we wouldn't recognize somebody in that context. They would have to be deceased, I guess is the word. And I agree, maybe it is time to look at that policy for sure. I don't think that it is hugely a huge staffing that I would see. Yes, through Grey Roots being recognized and probably on our website, that on that day and doing some of that type of communications out there. And to your point, by recognizing this, the Blue Water Board of Education may pick up a little bit of that and move a lot more forward with recognizing individuals that have contributed greatly and teaching that history of our students going forward, that we don't forget. But I don't see it being a huge burden on staff at this point in time. Of it's the biggest point would be having it out there on social media and bringing that forward as a recognition annually on March 24th.
Okay, thank you. I'll look for other hands for discussion. Okay, we'll go to Deputy Warden Milne.
Thank you, Madam Warden. First of all, I just want to make it very clear that any comments I make do not reflect the lack of respect for Ms. McPhail's accomplishments. And she's very much deserving of any honor that she receives. I will mention that the county currently, or in the past, has funded a cairn on Grey Road 9, which stands in front of the farm where she was raised in Southgate. So Grey Highlands can't claim her. Anyway, that aside, I do have a concern. Who is going to make the proclamation? Who is eligible for a proclamation? Providing that we do go ahead and do this, because there's going to be more. I do understand that there's a large urban city to the south of us where the mayor, just by rote, proclaims 20, 25 proclamations every single day. How much time does that chew up? How much resources does it chew up? Because if you're going to do it for one, you got to do it for them all. We've had this discussion, hence the policy. We will not proclaim. And if you're going to do it for Agnes, as I say, there's going to be plenty more come, because there's lots of people that are deserving. There's lots that aren't, but there's lots that are. And it'd be hard to say, yeah, this one, but not that one. I see a very slippery slope, and I'm not prepared to support it at this time. So we'll see where the discussion goes, but I'm telling you that I don't see this as a good thing. There's lots of other ways, and currently Agnes is honored in a number of ways. The event in Grey Highlands was one. There's another very active group in I think it's North York, where Agnes her riding was when she sat in the Ontario legislature. They have an event every year. I'm just going to leave it at that. I just, at this point, I just can't, and not because Agnes isn't deserving. It's just because of all the other that's going to come with it if we do this one. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll put it out to the floor for others. We'll go to Councillor Dickert.
Thank you, Madam Warden, and I echo what Deputy Warden Milne is saying. It's not a lack of respect for Agnes. It's simply the slippery slope we create. And I'm guessing back in 1995. I'm not sure what drove that discussion back then, but there must have been some reason that they felt it justified to put that policy in place. And when I look around some of the challenges that are created across other municipalities, away from Grey County, I agree. I think it is a slippery slope. And so certainly no disrespect for the mover or the concept of doing this. It's just, I do believe that lower tiers have the opportunity to do it. And I think that's where it still belongs. And those were my thoughts. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I'll go to Councillor Dobreen.
Thank you, Warden Matrosovs, and good morning. I too am hesitant to waive policy, one that we only just created in 2024. We enacted through great debate, and the slippery slope that Councillor Dickert mentioned was on my sheet. I believe that staff did a tremendous job in recognizing the lady in Grey, the lady from Grey, Agnes MacPhail, with social media posts. Our South Grey Museum and Friends of Agnes MacPhail does a tremendous celebration on her birthday every year. And I guess my question is, what would be the threshold for recognizing or waiving the policy going forward if we're to recognize all of those important people that have come before and are to come in the future? Who decides? And to Deputy Warden Milne's comment, it doesn't lessen the importance or the respect that we have for Agnes MacPhail. We established a policy for a reason, and I feel that it is worthy of maintaining that policy at this time.
Thank you. Other comments? Go to Councillor Boddy.
Thank you. I look at this a little bit differently. We get requests for proclamations all the time that are for something in society, some different charity, different things, and this isn't quite the same thing. It's recognizing one historic hero of Grey County as naming that day for that person. I don't see it being the same as other proclamations that we don't want to be dealing with all the time, the 20 per day. There's nothing in this motion that refers to other proclamations for others going forward. It was only in this motion recognizing Agnes MacPhail Day on whatever it is, March 24th. Shouldn't have taken my glasses off. This council can consider any future considerations if other names do come up at any given time. But right now we're considering one, and it's Agnes MacPhail. That's the motion. I'm supporting it. Boy, you look south of the border and there's a statue in every town for every hero, and we don't do that same thing in Canada. This is a woman that made a huge difference and broke a lot of barriers. And I think I can't think of too many. Yes, there's lots of other Grey County heroes, but I can't think of any that are as big or as important for the county as a whole as this one. So I'll be supporting it. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. I'm looking around the room while people are contemplating if they wish to add comments. Director Myers, I'd like to, Director. Oh, okay, so I was going to say to Director Myers, but it looks like CA Wingrove. I was going to ask the question about, please share with members who are following, what is there at Grey Roots that does help educate and inspire and help us learn about the legacy of Agnes MacPhail. Thank you.
Thanks, Madam Warden. Good morning, Council. The comment that I was going to make was really about the role of various county departments in promoting our history and telling our stories. Savannah can speak to some work that's happening at Grey Roots in just a moment. From the perspective of communications department, and in part to answer your question, Councillor Greg, a declaration from council would normally mean that we would be doing a press release each year, as well as posting on social media, etc. If council wanted something more elaborate, then we would be, looking at more of a campaign type piece of work. And of course, those can get to any amount of money and effort that council would like us to undertake. So there is a real range there, and we would be looking to you for your direction. But certainly I do feel, and I think we've always tried to demonstrate, that it is our responsibility and mandate to, tell our stories and bring people's attention to important people and events in Grey County. Savannah, do you want to talk about the work you're doing?
Absolutely. Thank you. Grey Roots in the past worked really hard behind the scenes to help encourage and get Agnes MacPhail featured on the 150th $10 bill, which is still in circulation. And it is in an exhibit at Grey Roots. So there is an Agnes MacPhail small exhibit there. We do have information about her in the archives. And part of where we're going, based on all of the work through the master plan, is really trying to tell a more inclusive story and celebrate the people and the place that we have here. So one of the dreams that I've had for a long time, and now I've got the right students in place to do it, we're looking at creating some children's books to talk about the people in place, but in a way that gets them excited about who they can be inspired towards, and then use that same information to be able to put into educational flyers that could go into the schools and others. So I really do think that Grey Roots has a great opportunity to play a bigger role here, and we're working very closely with the school board to better understand what they're looking for and what we can do to provide for them, either in their classrooms or to get them to Grey Roots on further field trips and educational opportunities. So work is absolutely being done around here, and I think in a bigger way as we move forward.
Thank you. So with that, I'll put it back out to county council members. If they wish to provide any comments. Okay, I'm not seeing any further hands. I don't see any hands online. So we're going to call that question then. All those in favor? Okay, so I'm just confirming that that motion has not passed. That motion fails. Thank you. Okay, so next we will move on to our delegations. We do have one delegation, item 4A. It is about Enbridge Gas and update about the programs, incentives, and energy efficiency upgrades. And we do also have our staff, our sustainability staff here as well. So I will welcome Ms. Julie Xander to come on up to the lectern. And I'll turn off my microphone, and then you'll just need to activate yours to see the red on the microphone. And the clerks will assist with any slide presentation you have.
Good morning, Warden Matrosovs and members of County Council. Thank you for the opportunity to speak today. As noted, I'm Julie Alexander, Senior Advisor in Municipal and Stakeholder Affairs. And also with me is Mary Sy, Senior Advisor in Energy Solutions. At Enbridge, safety is paramount, and we do start every meeting that we have with a quick safety moment. So I'm just going to go through a safety moment on scam awareness because there has been an escalated number of complaints about people impersonating Enbridge. So they're using a variety of things online. They're creating fake Enbridge websites, asking for personal and account information, going on social media. There's also phone calls and texts, people posing as Enbridge employees and attempting to get people to, again, give out personal information, offering to pay your bills, offering to give refunds, and also people coming to the door. Enbridge gas employees will always have appropriate ID and always wear an Enbridge, and our contractors as well will wear an appropriate uniform identifying them. We do not sell natural gas door to door. We do not sell, rent, or service appliances or smart thermostats. So if anyone ever comes to your door and asks to see your natural gas bill or sign a contract, please note that it is not an Enbridge employee. So this slide is just an overview of Enbridge Gas in Ontario. We exist to enhance the quality of people's lives by providing dependable, reliable energy, and we've done that for over 175 years. We have 3.9 million customers in Ontario, and we heat over 75% of the province's homes. We own the Dawn Storage Hub, which is the largest integrated underground storage facility, and it is also one of the top trading hubs in North America. We manage 30 billion in assets throughout 313 municipalities and 20 Indigenous communities. Natural gas is an extremely reliable fuel. As you know, Grey Bruce had a very hard winter this year, and this dependability was on full display on January 22nd during the peak energy hour when our system delivered an outstanding amount of energy to Ontario homes and businesses, equivalent to that provided by 90,261 megawatts in generation capacity. Comparatively, during the same day, the IESO reported a peak electrical demand of 21,940 megawatts with peak generation of 24,250 megawatts. Of that peak generation, 24% of that came from natural gas power generation. So overall, Enbridge Gas delivered 4.9 times the combined energy as nuclear, hydroelectric, wind, solar, and biofuel combined. As mentioned, we deliver the energy that enhances people's quality of life. We provide almost 30% of Ontario's energy needs. And we also aspire to reach net zero in our own operations by 2050. And I'm just going to turn it over to Mary, and she is going to go through some energy solutions that Enbridge offers.
Thanks, Julie. Good morning, everyone. So I'll just start the next slide. So just basically talking about our net zero future. So we have all different types of conservation programs. We deal with renewable gases, RNG, which is renewable natural gas. We also have cleaner fuel technologies, such as we're looking at CNG, RNG, and hydrogen. CNG is compressed natural gas, and the hydrogen blending. And also we have a number of flexible and efficient building energy solutions, such as hybrid heating, CHP, which is combined heat and power, and waste recovery. So we are governed by the Ontario Energy Board, and we have a framework out. Our framework is actually due the end of this year, and we'll start a new framework starting in 2026. But we have program offerings for each sector available. As you can see, we have for residential, commercial, industrial, low income, large volume, energy performance, and building beyond code. So the one I'm going to talk about here is really for new builds or deep energy retrofits. This is called Savings by Design. We have 3 streams, one being commercial and multi-res. And this is where it would apply to both the municipality buildings as well as your constituents. This would be, anything like, arenas. They could do deep energy retrofits, and you can participate in this program. And what it does really, the program gives you a holistic view on the operation of the building itself. So they take a look at, trade-offs. So not necessarily when you build or you retrofit, will it cost you more money being greener? Because in a lot of cases, there's trade-offs that are available, and also Savings by Design affordable housing. That stream is very lucrative. If you're doing any affordable housing builds, I would highly recommend getting in touch with us. And this one here is building a net zero home, discovery home. So this is where we would target a developer, and we would give him an IDP, which is an integrated design process. And they would take a look at it, help them with their sales and marketing training, on-site training. So if you have any builder that's interested, and unfortunately, it's not really for a builder who's doing 1 or 2 homes a year. It would be more, I would say 10 homes or more. So this one here is a collaboration with the IESO. This is where it's affordable housing. So we have a program out, it's called Home Winterproofing. And essentially how it works is we follow the same guidelines as Canada Mortgage and Housing, as far as, if you're on Ontario Works, or there's different criteria, and you can apply for this. And they'll come in, and it's just one call. So they'll look after both the IESO, which is the hydro end of it, as well as Enbridge Gas, and they'll make recommendations on how to make the home more energy efficient. This is the new program out. I'm sure we've all heard about HER Plus, HER. Now it's called HERS. And the reasoning being, again, we partnered with IESO, and this is where consumers can go, and I would direct them to either our website or IESO website, fill in some forms, and then they can have an auditor get in contact with them, make recommendations, and then they can also tell them what rebates are available for them. And the other thing I want to point out too is on top of this right here, they can also apply for the Greener Homes Grant. So that's put on by NRCan, and they can qualify up to $40,000 with 0 interest. So again, this is just talking about the home winterproofing program. And we'll go to the customer's home, and as long as they meet the criteria on it. And we just talk about the one window approach, and I explained that to you about as far as working with the IESO. So I know Julie talked about our DSM, which means demand side management, and it's 30 years and counting. So these are just some stats that our energy efficiency program has contributed to the overall Ontario market. So this is talking about some of the top HER measures. As you can see, the air source heat pumps was number 1, windows being number 2, and number 3 is your attic or ceiling insulation. And why work with us? We can assist you with, I know that some of the municipalities have taken advantage of our $10,000 grant that we have available for each municipality. So you've got 9 here, so you can apply 9 times. And what it is basically to help you with your climate change action plan. So if you have any consultants or any studies and you have a bill that costs more than $20,000, Enbridge will pay 10,000 of that. So we pay 50% of whatever the bill would be. So if you're interested in that, please contact myself or Julie. And again, this is also talking about the toolbox. And we can also get some data consumption reports for you. And speaking about reports, I put on the back on the media table there is some numbers that unfortunately I couldn't include into the presentation because I just got the numbers last night, but it shows which each municipality contribute to the overall numbers for Grey County. So again, talking about the MCAO, that's the $10,000 grant. There's also a hero session, which is a home energy retrofit orientation. And how that works is basically we partner with Humber College and they do a webinar for the constituents to talk about what needs to be done. What's happening with a lot of cases with a lot of customers is there's so much noise out there about energy efficiency. A lot of them are undecided on what to do. And by having these webinars, it kind of gives them a clear path on what they need to do to make their home energy efficient. And there's also Building Beyond Code. That is an organization that we can set up for you. And it's basically for municipal staff. And we have a gentleman come in, Gord Cook. He actually lives in Southampton, where so do I. And he will facilitate it. And it's really, really great, especially if you have any building inspectors, planners, even marketing. It's a really good course to attend. And basically, that's it in a nutshell. I guess the biggest thing I would say to you is before you do any work in your municipality, contact us because a lot of times you're leaving money on the table. There's a lot of different programs out there that we can incentivize you, as well as if you want to put anything on your web, we have links that we can, share with you for your constituents. So thank you very much. Any questions?
Thank you very much to both of you. So at this point in time, we'll open it to council members for questions or comments. We'll go to the Deputy Warden.
Thank you, Madam Warden, and thank you very much, ladies, for your presentation. Lots of incentives there, lots of good things. But my question surrounds the demand for gas, particularly my home community of Southgate in the East End, Dundalk specifically. We want more gas. How can we get more gas there? I know that you can only shove so much stuff through a pipe that big, but can you talk about the build out of new infrastructure to get more gas into my community? Because the demand is there both industrially and residential. Please.
So I know that a lot of municipalities would like Enbridge to put pipe in order to attract. We've had several situations where municipalities want to attract, for example, an industrial park where they want more businesses to be able to come. So when Enbridge looks at a project, we're obviously a regulated utility. So there is a very prescriptive calculation that Enbridge has to use. That is an Ontario Energy Board mandate to address whether a project would be feasible. So we would have to know the businesses or the development that is going into the community first in order to get the loads, the pressure, and the specifics of the project. And that way we would be able to properly put in the parameters into that calculation and also make sure that we have the appropriate length of pipe, diameter of pipe, etc. Oh, and one more thing. If anyone does want to put in an application, there is a Get Connected system, which I can send a link for if you're interested. They would have to put an application through our Get Connected system. But if it's a group or a few businesses that say wanted a pipeline put down a service road, then they could amalgamate those applications in that system so that it would become one project.
Thank you. Next, we'll go to Counselor Body.
Thank you. You mentioned hydrogen in there, and I know I think Milton, there's a project going on where you're injecting hydrogen in with natural gas. It's been a couple of years. How's it going? And are you looking at adding more similar projects across the province?
Yes, so correct. I know that also Markham has a hydrogen. Yeah. So we're definitely invested in hydrogen. They're looking, I know, at corridors on where we can put stations along the 401. So we have one of our colleagues, Sam McDermott, is heading this up. So but right now it's still in the very early stages, but definitely it's something that we're heavily invested in.
Thank you. Next, we'll go to Counselor Dickert.
Thank you, Warden, and thank you for the presentation, Marion. My question, I have two questions actually. With the talk and the shift away from fossil fuels, used to be that, in the mid 90% of new homes was connected to natural gas where it was available. Just wondered, is that trending down? Is there any change in that in the new building industry? And also, is there any advancements in carbon capture? I know it's been focused more on heavy industrial, but is there any investigations at all on the residential side?
As far as new home construction, there still is a lot of natural gas hookups. A lot. Now, the thing is, a lot of it's for lifestyle, and that would be fireplaces, barbecues. People are definitely going to heat pumps more. There's a couple of subdivisions. I know there's one in Brampton, and then there's one in Caledon that went with no gas, but we're not seeing that a lot happening. I think also now with the carbon tax being removed, it's taken off an urgency a little bit as that too, as well. But carbon capture with residential, unfortunately, I don't have any answers on that one. I think it's still pretty new, but I did send out a note. I didn't get a response yet. But as soon as I do, I'll definitely let you know. Yeah, go ahead.
I'll just add one thing to that. We do have a lot of talk around carbon capture, utilization and storage. So our government relations team has been speaking with government about developing a policy, because as I'm sure you're aware, there's carbon capture in other countries. And so that discussion is on the table in terms of policy.
Thank you. I'd like to go to the Deputy CAO for some comments.
Great, thank you. And through you, Warden, just want to thank you both for obviously your presentation today. Extremely helpful and beneficial in outlining some of the incentives. Just wanted to note through the Enbridge reps here that Enbridge has been just a great partner with being able to move forward with to support some of our corporate actions to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, as well as to make our buildings more energy efficient. So through some of the programs that you highlighted in your presentation, we've been able to take advantage of some of those programs, and it's been very beneficial. To date, we've secured just over $60,000 through Enbridge to help support some of those projects, including energy audits, heat pumps, building automation, and boiler upgrades. So we're extremely thankful for Enbridge's support in helping us to achieve some of the corporate actions that County Council has asked us to move forward with. We're looking at other opportunities. As noted, there's lots of programs that Enbridge offers. So we look forward to continue to work with Enbridge on some of those future partnership opportunities.
Thank you. Other questions or comments from County Council, I don't see any on the screen. Yes, we'll go to Councillor Allwood.
Thank you, Madam Warden, through you. We've done some work in Grey Highlands on, potential natural gas expansion, speaking to Councillor Nolan's, question. The numbers coming back without provincial support, puts those projects out of the scope, out of the reach of most rural municipalities. But, I wondered if you could comment on, any progress with the province on the expansion side of natural gas. Thank you, Julie.
Thank you. As many of you know, there was a phase 2 for natural gas through the government. There were approximately 200 applications. 27 of those were accepted. So there are still quite a few municipalities wanting natural gas. Unfortunately, we have not heard anything about a phase 3 yet, but as everyone here knows, there's a lot of shifting in government and an election, and there's going to be changes on the horizon. So we're just waiting to hear if there's going to be a phase 3. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions or comments? Not seeing any hands online or here in the chamber. Thank you very much to both of you for providing us with that update and for sharing that with our communities. Okay, so at this point in time, I'm just shortly going to call a brief break, but I would like to put out the call for number 5, determination of items requiring separate discussion, if we can just establish that. So there are 7 different items listed in the consent agenda, which is items 6A through 6G. I'll put a call out now to identify the ones that will be pulled. Councillor Greg.
Item 6C and 6E, please.
Okay, so we have 6C and 6E pulled. Other items? Okay, not seeing any further items, so Madam Clerk will make a note of returning to those items later. Do you want me to just go ahead and tidy up the consent agenda vote first before the break? Okay, so let's then proceed then with item 6. Just for the items that do not include 6C or 6E, it's recommended that the following consent agenda items be received and that staff be authorized to take actions necessary to give effect to the recommendations in the staff reports, and that the correspondence be supported and received for information as recommended in the consent agenda. May I ask for a mover and a seconder? Thank you. Moved by Councillor Keaveney, seconded by Councillor Hutchinson. Any discussion? All those in favor? And that motion is carried. Thank you. So let's do a break now until 11:30. If we could be back at 11:30 to continue, and we'll go on to the items for discussion. Okay, County Council, if I can encourage you all to take your seats again. Okay, County Council, we are going to get started then. We have a number of items for discussion, so we will carry on to see what we can accomplish before lunch here. So we are on item 7A now, which is, it's recommended that report TRCW 0825 Chatsworth Depot Dome replacement be received, and that County of Grey proceed with the plans to replace the Chatsworth Dome in 2025 ahead of the planned 2027 schedule due to partial collapse of the building, and that the estimated $1.8 million budget for the construction project be funded from any transportation services year-end surplus, and if insufficient funds exist, from the transportation services facilities, depots and domes reserve, or transportation services general reserve. So may I ask for a mover and a seconder? It's moved by Councillor Mackey, seconded by Councillor Dobreen. It's now on the floor for discussion, and I will call upon Director Hoy to come and introduce this topic.
All right, thank you and good morning, County Council. So this is dealing with report TRCW 0825, the dome replacement. So in March of this year, we had a partial collapse of one of our older structures, the sand and salt dome, well, sand mostly, but in Chatsworth, due to kind of snow loading and age and a combination of a few things. So I'm going to go through the PowerPoint here. We've kind of been limping the structure along for a few years. We had decided, I'll go through it later anyway, but we had decided a while ago that it wasn't worth kind of pouring too much money into. So there's kind of just a summary. We're looking to permission to expedite construction and replace the building in 2025. It was originally in the 10-year capital for 2027. So there's the back of the dome. So basically due to snow loading and just the age of the structure itself. And early in the winter, because it was so harsh, we had sent out kind of alert star patrols about clearing the snow around your domes. In general, they did a pretty good job of it. You know, I don't know what to say, like it was quite a harsh winter. So there was still a lot of snow around. It's hard to know where the snow ends and the dome begins. And it's not a great structure. I've been here so many times talking about the pitfalls of domes, and we're not the only ones to have some, harsh realities on how they turned out. So they aren't my favorite. So yeah, partially collapsed. We had engineers report before, but it was quite a costly. We did a bit of work in 2021. Just to basically keep it going till we could replace it with a structure that suited our needs much better. So we could have done more repairs back then, but I think it was about 200,000 back then, and it wasn't worth a structure for 5 years. Like, we didn't want to put a whole bunch of money into a structure that we really don't like. It doesn't suit our needs anyway. That was just kind of a legacy thing. So the repairs now are identified at 380,000. So in our opinion, it's kind of a no-brainer that it's good money after bad. We're ready to move on to the next structure, which we were going to do in 27 anyway. The one thing I did want to mention that maybe isn't talked about a lot in the report, we talked with finance a lot about insurance. So, you know, the insurance, we all pay, you know, the county pays a lot of money in insurance, and just some of those end of life big claims, you know, even if people say insurance doesn't cost you more if you make a claim, maybe that's what they'll tell you, but the end of life big claims aren't looked upon very favorably. And all we do is repair a structure, you know, kind of delaying the inevitable in our mind anyway. So we decided pretty early on that we didn't want to make this an insurance claim. So there's the recommendation, a new rectangular structure. You know, enhances operational efficiency because we have multiple material in there. It's easier if it's a square. Like the round structure is always trouble with contamination of material. We just feel a new structure, a new rectangle structure would be safer. And just indoor loading, we want to make sure we have indoor loading and just resilience against future extreme weather events. We also, it has the, I don't know if you can see it in the picture, but it has quite low walls. See, like that little toe wall around the bottom is just a couple feet high. I don't know why that was ever the system, but now we'd be having like a 10-foot high concrete wall because, you know, if you're going in with a loader, you know, you don't want to hit something as fragile as the dome was. And if it's only a 2-foot high wall and you're trying to kind of pick a pile out, it's just kind of an accident waiting to happen. So we definitely feel like a rectangle structure is a much better option for the future. So here you see two pictures. The left side is a schematic of what will be our new sand and salt building, kind of over where the old dome is at the back, kind of on the east side of the Chatsworth Yard. The picture on the right is the Elginfield MTO building. So we got the structural drawings for that building. There's some little revisions that we're doing, but generally they're very happy with the layout and it kind of suits our needs. So we've hired a structural engineer to kind of give us some updated plans because those ones are quite old. And we've been getting some geotech soil studies done. The field work's done. We should be getting the report in the next few weeks. And our internal engineering group will be doing a topo survey and a grading and drainage plan. So as a matter of economies of scale, we'll have the design of this new building. We're going to use the exact same building next year for the Patrol D depot, assuming it suits our needs. We think we're going to be really happy with it. And if there was any small revisions on the way it operated, we could make those changes before we build another one in Ceylon at the new Patrol D depot. So I guess we're back to the motion about basically moving up the 1.8 million from if insufficient funds exist from the facilities reserve, from our regular surplus, we would get it out of the domes and depots reserve. And we would be tendering it shortly, probably in May, maybe early June. And hopefully kind of be building it towards the end of the summer. We usually get our sand and salt brought in late August. So we're hoping, we think we can kind of put a push on here and maybe get it built before. Otherwise it'll be in the tender anyway. We'll have some sort of contingency to be able to fill the thing before winter.
Thank you. Okay, so we'll put it out then to county council members committee of the whole members, if they have questions. Okay, we'll go to Councillor Dobreen.
Thank you, Warden, and through you, Southgate is currently evaluating our own dome in Holstein. And so by going to the rectangular structure that you're proposing, are there any environmental studies that you have to do in order to expand that footprint?
Yeah, thanks for the question. No, I think that's part of our, you know, we have our kind of our salt management plan and the indoor loading on the bigger structure does make a lot more sense because like that way. Everyone's kind of gone to indoor loading, you know, before you drive around and spread the salt everywhere. But anyway, I won't get into that. But indoor loading is important, I guess.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions or comments? All right, I'm not seeing any more. Director Hoy, in that case, then it's been moved and seconded. I'll call the question. All those in favor? And that motion is carried. Thank you very much, Director Hoy. Next, we'll move on to item 7B, and it's recommended that report CAORCW 1125 regarding the IE climate adaptation plan update be received for information. May I ask for a mover and a seconder? Moved by Councillor Pringle, seconded by Councillor McKay. It's now on the floor for discussion, and I'll invite Ms. Miles to introduce the topic. We're just getting some technical assistance.
Just because I'm younger doesn't mean I'm tech savvy. Good morning, Madam Warden and Council. The purpose of the report today is to provide Council with an update on our work to date and the public engagement activities we have planned over the next month. We're also asking for your support in getting the word out across the county so we can make sure that this plan reflects local concerns and priorities. So just as a little reminder, why are we creating a climate adaptation plan? Well, given that the winter that we've had, an overwhelming amount of lake effect snow due to lack of ice cover on Lake Huron and Georgian Bay, as well as the recent ice storm and power outages, I'm sure I don't need to explain why we need a plan and to be as prepared as possible. As local government, it's our responsibility to safeguard public infrastructure and public safety. And this work also supports our legislated responsibilities with asset management and emergency management planning. Our tagline of this plan is preparing today to protect tomorrow, because we know that for every dollar spent on proactive climate adaptation measures today, $13 to $15 will be returned in years ahead in direct and indirect savings, the ultimate gift to future generations. So the planning process will identify kind of three main things. First, infrastructure and services that are most likely to be impacted by climate change, to identify those impacts and prioritize actions so we can focus our limited resources. Like Going Green and Gray, this is a community plan, so it requires participation and buy-in from our partner organizations in the community. So we have a very diverse working group to support a collaborative and comprehensive planning process. We're also fortunate to have additional expertise from other county departments, such as planning and transportation. We have a very knowledgeable and engaged working group with 25 to 30 participants, including representatives from local utilities, including Enbridge, who've attended our first two workshops. The first workshop, we launched the process and identified a comprehensive list of 44 impacts affecting our built, natural, and socioeconomic landscapes. Through the vulnerability and risk assessment process, we narrowed this long list. And so in today's report and what you have in front of you is our short list of 21 high priority impacts. We are now confirming these impacts with the public and starting to brainstorm actions to address them. So just to dig a little bit deeper, what will Grey County's future climate be like? So our full 30-page climate science report is available on our project webpage at grey.ca. But basically the Coles notes are warmer, wetter, and wilder. Based on national data from the Climate Atlas of Canada for our most likely business as usual scenario, the main trends are the average annual temperature is expected to increase by almost 5 degrees over the next 25 to 50 years. approximately 33 more extreme heat days, so that's over 30 degrees Celsius. Generally, more precipitation, an additional 65 millimeters per year on average, and the most significant increase being in winter precipitation. And precipitation will also be more intense, so our stormwater systems will have more difficulty keeping up to these events. And just so it's not all doom and gloom, there is a small silver lining of a longer growing season expected to increase by roughly 48 days by the 2080s. As I was reminded talking to Grey County Federation of Ag board members earlier this week, there is a change. This is a change local farmers are already well aware of. A local maple syrup producer confirmed that their tapping dates just keep getting earlier and earlier. Every year, they used to start on March 21st, and now it could be late January or early February. So this graphic shows just part of our broader planning process, how we've gone from our long list of impacts. Then we assessed vulnerability and likelihood of consequence of each one to provide us with our short list. And once we've confirmed these, then we'll start brainstorming actions. I won't go through all 21 today, but just to provide a few examples under each theme. The first one being public infrastructure. As we've just heard about the dome, it also means freeze-thaw days causing faster deterioration of roads, more snowstorms and winter precipitation causing more winter maintenance and closures, and yes, snow days. In terms of health and safety, more heat waves causing more health and safety risks, especially for the elderly, infants, or those without access to air conditioning. Extreme weather events are damaging homes, reducing property values, and increasing insurance premiums. Recently, a county staff member shared with us a letter they received from their insurance company that stated, as climate change continues to increase the likelihood of severe weather, they had introduced new updates to their roof coverage, informing them that the claims would be settled based on age, not full replacement costs, and also offering a reimbursement of windstorm resistant materials following a covered claim. Turning to local economic and cultural impacts, agriculture is especially impacted. Extreme heat posing health risks for livestock, warmer winters causing more pests to be able to survive over winter. Extreme heat causing disruptions for outdoor work like construction and farming. And warmer temperatures and shifting natural cycles are affecting fish populations, therefore affecting food insecurity and cultural impacts for those of us who like to hunt and fish. And lastly, natural environment. So warmer temperatures and inconsistent rain will also impact our forests and biodiversity. So just think about all the trees we've lost from the emerald ash borer over the last number of years, or the tree damage from our most recent ice storm. So we've got our work cut out for us. I realize that talking about impacts are heavy and difficult, but also not thinking or talking about them isn't going to make them go away. So we've designed a consultation process to be informative and empowering for those who participate. Climate anxiety is real, and I hear about it often. So we want to have activities that will help residents walk away feeling more informed and prepared with clear actions for making their households more resilient. We have three main ways for residents to participate. The first one, pop-up booths at local community events. Linda and I have a busy month ahead of us, having presence at over 15 events, starting with Kemble Maple Fest this Saturday. We'll also be collaborating with other Grey County departments. For instance, we'll be joining forces with planning for the wildlife and forestry bylaw consultation and economic development for Cruise and Connect. We'll also be having climate conversation kits to encourage and support residents to have conversations with their family, friends, neighbors, or community groups that they belong to. This kit will include guiding questions, a map with stickers, and a list of resources to make your home, business, or farm more resilient to climate change. We'll also be using this kit to host focus groups. So tomorrow, Linda will be using the kit with municipal staff through our climate change community of practice. And next week, I'll be using it to guide a discussion with student trustees at Blue Water District School Board. And lastly, we also have an online public survey as well, and printed copies will also be available. So these opportunities will be shared through our email newsletter, social media, and our website, and the project page, which will be linked on gray.ca/climate action. We also recognize that climate change will affect different groups in our community in different ways. So we want residents not only to consider how climate impacts them personally, but also other community members. So we've developed these fictional profiles to help residents imagine how climate change might affect others in the community, and we'll ask them to consider them. So we have Jack, the adaptable farmer, Maggie, the aging homeowner, Rihanna, the concerned small business owner, Jason, the outdoorsy young professional, and Eva, the family-focused home buyer. These are quite similar to the Environics data kind of demographic profiles that economic development uses. So we're looking for your help to help us get the word out. We have materials and facilitation guides, so feel free to reach out to Linda or I if you have any questions or need any guidance. We have these postcards that you were distributed, and we have lots more. So just let us know if you want to take any back to your municipal offices. And then in terms of next steps, so after this public engagement period, we'll have our third workshop to start identifying actions to address these high priority impacts and then start drafting the plan. So thank you for the opportunity to share about this important and exciting work and for your ongoing support in building a climate resilient Gray. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much, Ms. Miles. Lots of good information in there and lots of progress. So with that, then I will put it out to County Council members for questions or comments. I'll just wait for a moment to make sure I'm capturing on screen virtual. So we'll begin with Councillor Greg.
I just have one question. Thanks for the report, informative. And this is just in regards to reporting back and creating balance in the reporting back, because there are individuals out in the community who, you know, for say we get a tornado in March, leap to the conclusion that is climate change and forget that Williamsburg had a tornado in March in the mid-90s and Windsor had one in late 70s and Woodstock. So there's certain items that proponents might just leap to link to climate change, whereas historically these events do happen. But the planet is changing, and you'd be crazy to not see that just from the flooding in the United States right now, and last year in North Carolina as well. So I'm just wondering, how do you incorporate that balance in terms of what you hear back from some who may just, there are items out there, a lot of clickbait, I guess in the media might be the right term, some weather channels might, you know, it's in their best interest for views and clicks and so forth. And so some of that data you get back, just to be able to ensure that it's really corresponding to, you've got really good information here in terms of long-term data and not having it skewed a little bit to some concerns that are just maybe more one-off, like the tornado example. You get a tornado in March, it's automatically climate change. Well, not necessarily.
I think that's a good point. We talk a lot about just the word climate versus just taking climate out of it and using resilience. It is always tricky to kind of have that distinction between causation, correlation, what part is climate change, why are things happening? And there's also always going to be a certain degree of uncertainty, even with the data that we have in front of us. I think when it comes to both engagement and the climate data, this is why we're looking at trends. We're looking at the bigger picture. We're not taking one survey response and, you know, jumping to conclusions or coming up with actions. And this is why it's really important that we get a lot of engagement. The more responses that we get on the survey and participating in the engagement process, the more data points we have to create those averages. Similarly, with the data from the Climate Atlas that we use to generate these projections, it's not just from 1 year. It's from a baseline period. It averages from 1970 to 2000. So, and then we're also looking at these longer periods of time. So yeah, I think that's really important. And we try to kind of strike that balance of keeping the messaging simple, digestible. So it's not overwhelming to people. It's not too complicated. However, it is an ongoing challenge to get the right level of detail for the right audiences. And that's why we do also kind of tailor, like grouping the priority impacts into those main areas. So then, okay, if you're a farmer, you can just very easily zero in on the agricultural impacts. Or if you're concerned about health and safety, you can zoom into those. And with our multi-sectoral working group, we really have all those different perspectives at the table of local experts who know our community to really make sure that we're coming up with a plan that reflects all those different perspectives.
Thank you. Any further questions? Yes, Councillor Eccles.
Is there any positive in this? You've described a lot of negative, and I guess I'm not a climate denier at all. Climate changes. It's changed, you know, as far back as history goes. You can read that the Sahara Desert at one point in time was a vast grasslands as well, too. We've only known it in modern history since AD as being a desert. I guess, you know, is there some positives in that? This morning, Councillor Millen had asked Enbridge, can we get more gas because we need more heat? If it's going to warm up, I'm not sure we need more heat. You know, where's the positives? Is there positives in climate change for our adaptation to life in Canada?
Yeah, I think, did you not, the part about climate opportunities, the maple syrup, longer growing season? So yeah, I'm certainly mindful that this is a lot to absorb and it does feel very doom and gloom. And that's why having these conversations together, I think to really like absorb this information and figure out how we can come together as a county, as neighbors, as a community, to plan for emergencies. It's very similar to, you know, getting your 72-hour kit. I think there are some climate opportunities, and certainly Grey County, I think, will be less impacted than a lot of other parts of the world. In terms of climate, one of the projections is that will be more similar to Kentucky and that type of climate. So it will require kind of a constant adaptation and for us to become more nimble. But I do think there are some opportunities, and hopefully our plan can also identify that as well. And by having this information and the projection in front of a wide variety of community members, hopefully we can continue to pull out those opportunities. Anything to add?
Thank you for the question through the chair. I'll let Megan be kind of the voice of hope and optimism, and just add to her very accurate response that while there may be some local opportunities we realize through a warmer climate, I think as recent tariff discussions have shown, we are all interconnected. And so when we see globally the impacts of climate change, which are really quite catastrophic if we continue on a business as usual path, those impacts will drive migration, they'll potentially drive resource conflicts. And so just we can't only look at what climate opportunities might be like in Grey County, but consider as a global system and as one that's very dependent on our neighbors, how the global changes we anticipate from climate change will ripple to us locally as well.
And just to the point you said about maple syrup, 2024, local individual that makes maple syrup in West Grey, they started boiling. First day was in February, I think it was 7th. 2025, it was March 10th before they started. Yeah, there's such, yeah, I think that there is, you know, negative effects, but some of it, I think we, you know, it can't be all doom and gloom. There's going to be some positive aspects for us, and how it affects in the world situation may be a positive thing for us locally.
Okay, thank you. Any further comments? Yes, Councillor Dobreen.
Thank you through you, and thank you. I also want to thank you for the dialogue at the Grey County Federation of Agriculture Advisory Committee meeting the other night, last night. Was it Tuesday? It's a blur's day. At that point, I really liked yes, we're planning for the future and we're trying to put in place those things that can prevent tragedy or extreme circumstances. But it's on prevention, but it's also on resilience and recovery. I think you mentioned on Tuesday, the being able to recover and be more resilient as a result of the unexpected. My question through you is, could these cards, and perhaps you had a little handout for the Youth Climate Action Grant, could they maybe put some at the back of the room and we can grab them on our way out? Or let us know where we can get them.
Yeah, I've actually already put some posters for the Youth Climate Action Grant in the lunchroom that you can grab. And I'll put a stack of postcards as well. And we can always deliver those either to your municipality or next county council meeting. Anyway, we'll get you whatever materials you'd like, so we can continue to get the word out. And I think that just the fact that we are doing this planning exercise now is a positive. It's proactive, it's forward thinking, it's an investment in the future. And it's going to help us all become more resilient, more prepared, more informed. So even if these conditions are somewhat discouraging and kind of the only constant is change, I think the fact that we're thinking about it and talking about it is a really positive step.
Okay. Any further questions? No, I don't see any further hands up. So thank you again for the information and for the update. Thank you to both of you. And with that, I will call the question. All those in favor? And that is carried. Thank you. So we are approaching the lunch hour. We do have item 7C next coming up, and Madam Clerk is going to make her way to the lectern. So I'll look for a mover and a seconder that report CCR CW 0425 regarding a draft terms of reference for an ad hoc joint municipal services committee be received for information. Okay, so I see it moved by Councillor Body, seconded by by Deputy Warden Milne. It's on the floor for discussion. Madam Clerk.
Thank you, Madam Warden, and through you. This report here today contains a draft terms of reference for an ad hoc joint municipal services committee for your review and input. The proposed purpose of this committee is to identify opportunities for shared servicing between Grey County and other municipalities within Grey County, and make a recommendation to County Council on any opportunities to move forward and prioritize any of those shared servicing arrangements. I should note that within the draft terms of reference under purpose, there's a little bit of clarity needed there. It should state that any shared service identified would have Grey County as being one of the involved municipalities. The role, at least as we understand it, of this committee isn't that Grey County will arrange for shared servicing between your municipalities, unless of course we're requested to help with that, but Grey County would be an active partner in any potential opportunities there. The current terms propose a committee of 5 members of County Council to remain for the duration of the committee, with a sunset clause of September of 2026, just prior to the municipal election. There is no currently any proposal to have members on the committee who are not already county councillors, just for scheduling and payroll purposes. We would expect that local municipal staff would likely need to be providing information and support the work of the committee. Grey County also does have a policy that outlines criteria that must be met before a county committee or task force is established. So this proposed committee does meet that criteria based on staff's assessment. The recommendation within the report is to receive it for information at this time. Since this was a request from council at the March 13th meeting, staff don't necessarily have a recommendation to initiate the committee. Staff would be proceeding under the current process of bringing forward any opportunities for shared services to county council. But if council would like to proceed with establishing the committee here today or in the future, resolution is required indicating this direction and adopting a terms of reference. Whether it's this terms of reference or a variation of the one included in the report.
Okay, thank you. So it's currently on the floor to receive the report. We'll go to Councillor Body.
So, question for Tara, scope of responsibility, discussions shall not include services that are not already shared by 2 or more municipalities. Why is that there? Shouldn't the discussion include anything and then we would narrow down things?
Thank you. And through you, that shouldn't be meant to restrict that any municipality could join an already existing servicing arrangement. I think that is probably a broad description there that we could look at clarifying that a little more, because this certainly would be intended to, if there was an existing servicing arrangement between municipalities, that other ones could join in on that and improvement. I think that would be appropriate.
And second one to the number 2 above, services that cannot be feasibly shared by 2 or more. I would hope the committee wouldn't be looking at services that can be shared by only 2. I think we're looking at something that the majority of us would be interested in, and then and go for there. I wasn't foreseeing or wasn't thinking of that the county would be involved if it's just a couple of us interested, though I think that might be what the shared services policy from a few years ago said, but I think everyone's probably going to agree that we're either all or most of us interested or else we're not. That's my thought.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to go to Deputy Warden Milne.
Thank you, Madam Warden. Looking at the criteria and the response, the last criteria, is there a more effective form of engagement which will achieve the same objective? The response is yes. So my question, of course, would be, what is that more effective form and why aren't we doing it now? Please.
Thank you. And through you, Madam Warden, that criteria could be open to a little bit of interpretation, but the thinking was that there is currently a forum for shared servicing opportunities to come to this table, which is through County Council as a whole. At any time, you could request information or work or staff report on any potential servicing opportunities. So that will continue to exist, whether there's a committee or not. And that would be kind of staff's default, absent any other body that would discuss those things. So that was kind of the reason for that criteria response.
Okay, we'll go to Councillor Dobreen.
Thank you. And through you, I too had that highlighted in my report. So thank you for, no, it's quite all right. Sure. I'll go back to what currently is already being done. We've already experienced, and the list of collaboration that's already occurring through GIS services, the county road network, for the urban road transfers, affordable housing, waste management, community of practice. I know for a fact that on a regular basis, the Grey County CAOs, the Grey County clerks, the Grey County treasurers, the planning staff have regular meetings where they share best practices and what's happening, what's coming up through the pipe. And I've appreciated in my short time at the Horseshoe that when there is an opportunity or an initiative that staff across our municipalities feel that we could pursue, like joint planning services, for example, that has come before council for consideration. It's an initiative that staff are constantly looking for those best practices, those opportunities for savings or collaboration. So I'm not sure that we need a committee where 5 members brainstorm their ideas, but perhaps when staff feel there's this opportunity that come as a recommendation from staff. I really appreciated the report and learning about all the things that are currently being done without such committee. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I see Councillor Nielsen online.
Thank you very much, Warden Matrosoft. Just a question for clarity regarding lower tier municipal staff involvement. The report does suggest that other designates from lower tier staff. Just if I can get clarity on a Grey County's committee's ability to request consultation from lower tier municipalities, or the ability for the ad hoc committee to request perhaps like if attendance at committee meetings. Is that actually doable? Is that something that this committee would have the authority to request? Obviously, it's staff times and schedules and stuff, but could I just get some clarity on how that might work out?
Sure, and thank you. And if Kim and Randy, if you have any further thoughts, please jump in. But those municipal staff aren't necessarily required. They wouldn't be required to be part of the committee, but there would be times where county staff would need to reach out to your municipalities to get further information and possibly attend some meetings, and it would be done likely on staff time at the local level. And I think that's done occasionally with our committees that are in existence as well. So that wouldn't necessarily be anything different. Might be maybe more frequent than currently happens, but I think it is kind of something that we would expect would continue on.
Okay, thank you. And looking around the room, I'll just see if say CAO Wingrove or the deputy CEO wanted to add anything to that as the clerk. No? Okay, I'm hearing no. Okay. All right, so it's currently on the floor, moved and seconded to receive for information. I don't see any further hands up, so I'll ask all those in favor. And that motion is carried. Thank you. Okay, so now we did have 2 items pulled. Oh, sorry, Councillor Body.
As set out in the report, that requires a subsequent motion, so I'd move that Grey County establish a joint municipal services committee. Task force is what is actually in our bylaw, not ad hoc, and that the proposed terms of reference for the committee be adopted.
Okay, so that's been moved by Councillor Body. Is there a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Hutchinson. Okay, so that is now on the floor. And the reference is to the report and is to the terms of reference included in the report. So with that, we'll now engage into discussion on the formation of that task force. I'll look to the CAO for a comment.
Thank you, Madam Warden. So just to be clear, the resolution that you just passed was to receive Tara's report for information. So that's what you've done. And so now if you want to take the next step and actually establish the committee, then we will need, as you say, a terms of reference and to move things forward in that way, if that's the wish of council.
Okay, I'm going to look to the clerk just for clarification because the mover did refer to, it was contained within the report that additional motions would need to be moved. So can I just have a clarification about our process here, Madam Clerk?
Yes, thank you. And through you, the resolution that was just passed to receive the report for information doesn't bind the council in any way. So there is opportunity if you wish to, as Councillor Body has done, put forward a motion to establish the committee, and that the terms of reference that were in the report are going to form the foundation for that committee if it's supported. If there are some adjustments needed to that terms of reference, such as change to the membership, that can be done with this motion as well through an amendment. But as of now, it's proposed to be 5 committee members of County Council.
Okay, so Madam Clerk, I think what would be helpful then is if we put that motion up on the screen so people can understand that. It isn't it isn't a new item. It is actually referring to the content of the report. Okay, I can't quite read that from there, so is that the exact same thing? Yeah, I'll just ask the clerks to read the updated version that we need to consider.
That Grey County establish a shared services joint task force and that the terms of reference as noted in the previous report be adopted as presented.
Okay, so there we go. We're on the floor for, it's on the floor for discussion, what you see on the screen and have heard. We'll go to the deputy warden.
Thank you, Madam Warden. Would a further motion or an amendment to this motion be required to actually name the people to the task force?
Madam Clerk?
Yes, it would. And what I would suggest is that that county council dispose of this motion first, and then staff will bring back a report and information and a call for nominations at that time in a future report.
Okay, thank you. So we'll look further. We'll see Councillor Nielsen, please.
Thank you very much, Warden Matrosoff. Just speaking to the idea of actually forming the task force. I think Councillor DeBreen said it well, that there's good information within this report about the amount of work that goes behind the scenes between our lower tier municipalities and the county staff. And I think that sometimes support to some of the conversations that can happen to show that there is support at the council table as well for moving some of these ideas forward. There can be difficulty in knowing if there is the council table will to move a project forward or not. I think the ability for this task force to have those conversations just to see if there is interest from lower tier municipalities and from the county itself to do this joint, I think is worth the energy and time spent to see if that there is some joint savings we can have or success in moving forward with services more than just each individual municipality taking care of themselves.
Thank you very much. Any other discussion? Okay, so we've heard it. We have it there on the screen. We've heard it read out. I'll call the vote now. All those in favor? And that motion is carried. Thank you. Okay, I've just confirmed with the clerks that we can continue with our two last items for discussion, which is we had pulled item 6C and 6E. So we're going to go to the next one, which is it's recommended that the report TRCW 1125 containing the tender results for RFT TS 0225 regarding the Gray Road 30 culvert replacements project be received and that EC King Contracting be awarded the tender for a total amount of $534,636.25 excluding HST. So I'll look for a mover and a seconder first before I go to Mr. Ireton. It's moved by Councillor Gregg, seconded by Councillor Eccles. It's now on the floor for discussion. Thank you, Mr. Ireton.
There. Good morning, Council. So basically the Gray Road 30 project, this is effectively a road reconstruction project that we've had to split into two phases, mostly just to deal with some property negotiations that are currently ongoing and have more or less held up the progress of the project in general. So as we continue to negotiate through those property issues, we figured the opportunity would be a good time to get the culverts at least replaced this year in advance. And then that way, what we can do is schedule kind of the paving portion of this project early in the year when contractors are aggressive to get that early season paving in as well. So this is similar to what we have done historically in the past. We used to do a lot of the culvert replacements a year in advance on some of our jobs. Usually at that time, it was kind of our in-house staff that did it. And that was one option we did put to our operations team earlier this year, was to ask them if their staff could handle these replacements this year, but unfortunately they've got too much work of their own. So we decided that it'd be best to tender this, the culvert portion, and then leave the paving until next year. So I'm not sure if there's any questions beyond that, but.
Okay, thank you. And Councillor Greg, you were the one that had pulled it, so I'll look to you first.
Yeah, I appreciate that. It was just quite a significant change in scope. So I'm glad staff could just speak to the change in scope and your future plans in terms of when you do hope to have this placed back before council in terms of completing the entire project. So I think you are hopeful 2026. So just glad to have staff kind of articulate that a little further in terms of your future plans beyond this year's work. Thanks.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments from County Council Committee of the Whole? Okay, I don't see any further questions then, so I'll call that vote then. All those in favor? And that is carried. Thank you very much, Mr. Arton, for the additional information. And the other one was it was listed as item 6E, so we'll now address. It's recommended that report FRCW 0725 2025 request for approval of unbudgeted projects be received, and that the noise survey budgeted for 75,000 be funded from the Human Resources Reserve, and that the remainder of the cost to refurbish air handling units at Grey Roots totaling 132,500 be funded from the Grey Roots Main Building Improvements Reserve, and that that utility relocate work for Grey Road 15 totaling 165,400 be funded from the surplus in awards projects in the major road and bridge construction budget, and if insufficient funds are available at the year end from the Transportation General Reserve. May I ask for a mover and a seconder? Moved by Councillor Gregg, seconded by Councillor Keaveney. It's now floor for discussion. I'll look to Director Spicer first and then turn it to Council.
Thank you, Madam Warden. So this is a bit of a housekeeping report. So we have the noise survey was included in the 2024 budget. And late in October, when we brought a report on capital project status, it was noted that it wouldn't be complete by year end due to staff's preoccupation with Dayforce implementation, and we would defer it to 2025. We were implementing new budget software. It was put in one place and it wasn't put in another. So it was not included in the 2025 budget. It's fully funded from the reserve, so there is no levy impact. I will mention that it is a requirement to have a noise survey. And if there's any questions, I can refer to the capital project sheet. The next one was the refurbishment of air handling units at Grey Roots. That began in 2024. We anticipated it will be complete in 2024. And there's about 132.5 that needed to be carried over into 2024, and that's funded from the Building Improvement Reserve. And then the last one for Grey Road 15, it's not uncommon, I'm sure you're aware at your own municipalities that you do utility relocating work with Bell and Hydro, and the invoices don't come for several years. And this one, it was an omission. So it wasn't accrued to the project in 2022. The invoices have now been received, and we need a mechanism to pay the $165,400. So what we're saying is we would take it from the surplus from the construction budget, and if for some reason there was insufficient surplus, then we would take it from Transportation General. And I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you. I'll look to Councillor Gregg, who pulled the item.
Thank you. And just the question I really had here is when staff were then aware of these projects and the requirement to fund, yes, they're still coming from reserve, but did staff have discussions about are there any current year projects that were in the budget where perhaps they were first forecast to be started in June or July, and right now, at best guess, maybe they are forecast to start in November or late in the year, where you could just turn a couple projects into next year's budget that are potentially slated at the end of the year, or maybe not going to happen at all. as a substitute to just pulling these from reserves at this time.
Considering that we just passed a budget in January and everyone provided their best estimates of what they and their staff could accomplish in consultation with contractors, it seems rather premature to do that, especially when it's not a budgetary impact. So it's not that we've come in with a project that has created a shortfall and we need to fund it. So in that case, we'd be looking at, do we defer a project or do we go to reserves? So in this case, this makes the most sense. It's so early in the year. I don't know how we would forecast at this point what we're not going to get done this year, because people just recently said that's what their plan was.
Okay, was there any follow-up, Councillor Gray?
No, not particularly. I mean, there's business items that I may have that, I mean, you're perpetually examining your schedule in terms of when you're going to tackle certain items. So, I mean, the question should be asked, you know, you should always be reevaluating, and perhaps you're always reprioritizing during the year. Things happen, but you have a dome collapse. So, I mean, you're always reevaluating. So I'm just that's what I was wondering, is the process of questioning internally the options. So thanks.
Okay, are there any further questions? Yes, Councillor Eccles.
Thank you. And on that one, on the Grey Road 15, in the budgeting process, I guess it would, you know, I'm going to make the assumption that it was missed, that it should have been set up as an accrual, but it got missed. And just the other thing, it's a little bugaboo, the bridge construction budget, and if insufficient funds are available, just a little bit of an oxymoron there, shouldn't it be? And if sufficient funds are not available at year end, the funds required would come from the Transportation General Reserve. It just, well, that one's tomato or grapefruit, I think. But just that wording is, it just goes, wow. And yeah, I can keep going because Scott Taylor's not on and lunch is here, but just my little bugaboo there. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. As a former English teacher, I can say that the motion does stand as correctly indicated. We're not in a double negative situation here. Yes, you could say it two different ways. Absolutely, Councillor Eccles. And so with that, I'm seeing, okay, CAO would like to add something.
The point about having should have accrued this expense. I will say that this is one of the challenges that we face when the county is working in collaboration with our member municipalities on projects. And sometimes third-party service providers send information to one party or the other. And unless we are specifically tracking all of the different inputs into that project, you know, we might not be necessarily aware that something should be coming and hasn't been received. So again, it's so much, I think, can come to us as far as efficiencies and process improvements as we get better tools and we're, you know, able to track things more efficiently instead of it being such a manual process and involving an awful lot of back and forth. You can imagine, you know, the amount of capital projects that we're doing every year and how many of those are shared with your member municipalities. Sometimes things do get missed, and that's what happened here. So we're always trying to do better.
Thank you, Madam CAO. I don't see any further hands up then, so it looks like we're ready to call the question. All those in favor? And that motion is carried. Thank you. We do not have any closed meeting matters to attend to, so this is the point for other business. Is there any other business? Okay, we didn't add anything to our agenda, then I'll go to the notices of motion. Are there any notices of motion to serve? Not seeing any virtual or in-person hands go up. In that case, then I'll put out a call for a mover and a seconder to adjourn today. We'll have Councillor Patterson moving, Councillor Carlton seconding. All those in favor? Meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much, everyone.